Živa. Iz večeri u veče majka čita kodeks samurajskih veština. Svako novo jutro je belina tela koju otkrije rastvoreni crni kimono. Vrh sečiva treba zablasti što dublje. Sa danima se nositi kao sa bliskom kožom, uvek spremno na sepuku. Kraj izgleda, umesto Biblije, držati mišinu čije korice sliče kutiji od lipovih daščica. Iz njih u najtužniju istinu birati pažljivo prstima, kao da je trešnji cvet, kome se ritualno dva mala demona, demon sećanja i demon zaborava klanjaju u isto vreme. Iz večeri u večer majka izučava samurajske tajne. Pred spavanje mesto u knjizi obeležava iglom, skliznuvom niz probuđeni vulkan raspletene plunđe. Samo ona zna, postoji još jedan nepisani zakon koji kaže da su godine zavesa od papirnih ptica kroz koju se treba provući, očuvavši tišinu, a pogrešnim rečima i suvišnim dahom ne zaljujati nijednu. Podneti samo blagi šum malih krila za leđa.
Machine. Evening after evening, my mother reads The Way of the Samurai. Every new morning is like the whiteness of the body showing through the slightly open black kimono. The tip of blade should be stuck in as deep as possible. One should struggle with the day like with skin always ready for seppuku. By the head of the bed, instead of the Bible, Mishima's book should be held with its cover resembling a box made of tiny linden boards. Even the saddest tree should be carefully plucked from it, as if it were a cherry flower that two little demons, the demon of remembrance and the demon of oblivion, ritually bow to at the same time. Evening after evening, my mother studies the secrets of samurai. Before she goes to sleep, she marks her spot in the book with the needle she slides from the waking volcano of her unbraided bun. Only she knows. There is another, as yet unwritten law, claiming that years are a curtain made of paper birds one should squeeze through keeping silent, not making a single one swing by wrong words or excessive breathing. One should permit only the gentle sound of little wings behind one's back.
Sneg u cipelama. Ne gradi se kuća na zbirkama esejga, mada koja kašika više ponekad dobro dođe. Ne gradi se kuća na novim zavesama, mada drugačije poglede s vremena na vreme treba zakloniti novim platom. Da bi dom bio dom, između ostalog treba ti i mnogo toga čega bi se unapred odrekao vrlo rado. Slušaj šta kažu Eskimi. Da bi se sagradio dobar iglo, godinama moraš da nosiš sneg u cipelama. I špenom, zaboravljenom u okovratniku kaputa, blizu životne celice.
Snow in your shoes. One does not build a house collecting cutlery, even though a few extra spoons come in handy sometimes. One does not build a house for new curtains, even though different views from time to time should be shielded by new cloth. For a home to be a home, among other things, you need a lot of things you would gladly renounce in advance. Listen to what Eskimos say. To build a good igloo, for years you had to carry snow in your shoes, and the safety pin forgotten in your coat collar near the jugular.
Prolećni zanati. Neka mala ptica propevala, progovorila 2-3 reči i pokakila se na terasi obasjane suncem. Ptica tako mala da bi čak i kutija šilica prerastala raspunjenih krila. Njene oči tek polovina fosfornog zrnca. Iz stičišnog brabovnika izrasla detelina sa 4 lista. Naša sreća govori nemuškim jezicima i jezikom dobre probave. Preozilazi svoje razloge i ne bira mesto gde će da se dene. Treba ćutati, istina je. To sunce nad nama, što ga više pominjemo, to više raste u zlatno lešao.
Spring trade. Some little bird sang, spoke 2-3 words and sat on the terrace, shine with sun. So this little bird, still a matchbox that outgrew its wingspan, his eyes only half phosphoric grains. From the small shit grew 4-leaf clover. Our look speaks in an animal language and in the language of good digestion, outdoing its causes and not choosing the spots where I would land. It must keep quiet truly. If he mentions the sun above us, it changes into golden gallows.
On the usefulness of music.
Nobody queues up all night to get tickets to a poetry reading.
No sooner had the time of upheaval started than the director of the opera opted for irony by choosing himself inside a concert piano, having shot 4 air holes in it with a beretta. For a while the walls of the empty hall echoed his soliloquy, sent into the air through the music barrel.
I don't remember carving the names of my favourite poets into a desk at school.
On the usefulness of music in a time of upheaval.
No one shouts at Judas when Geoffrey Hill dropped the end rhymes from his poems.
The gong is to be placed in the field in place of a cauldron. The bells are to be lowered onto the sacks of Clore and South. The gold coin and buttons into the yawning openings of trumpets, while the jars of jam and lard are to be placed into the pianos, lined up in well-lit entrance halls, like black turtles frozen in the act of pulling their heads into their shells.
I can't recall the last time I had a drawn-out discussion about the concept of a poetry book.
Notes containing secret messages are to be strung violent strings, built up and tossed among the fishing rods.
The greatest praise you can give to a lyricist is that their work is pure poetry.
A child without a cot might be placed inside a modified double bus.
The greatest praise you can give to a poet is that their work aspires towards the tonal qualities of music.
The army, too, would be much happier if Russians were handed out using tamburitsas instead of small ladles.
If T.S. Eliot had said that he was bigger than Jesus, that would have had more to do with an inflated sense of self than actual sales at the wasteland.
Drumsticks are to be offered to the local police force, for there is always skin stretched tighter than drums.
The song only happens when it is played. The poem sits patiently and waits. You're frozen when your heart's not open.
For better control of the melody, jingle bells are to be moved from sleighs onto cups. Even music evolves when moved from lower to upper regions.
The emotional time aspect of poetry is that life is continually passing, and all the time we don't visit the poem, With music, your life sits squat as the song joyrides past. If you miss a description of its face, it's gone for good, past the leisure centre, left at the lights.
The greater the silence, the more loudspeakers there are, tape recorders to record the unrecognized vibration.
Music acts as a mnemonic for the moment. Poetry forgets the details of its genesis, hence the lost quotations word.
The silencer market is to be busted. Flags are to be hanged on walls. The privileged domain of sound carriers multiplies of the already vanished tone is to be left with the silent rocks alone. The distance separating their states of amnesia will never be violated.
For the question how far can music go and still be called music, you could assemble a party of willing explorers to set out on that road of discovery. Although the outcome of this would be similar for poetry, you would have walked that road alone.
Music gives instruments up easily in a time of upheaval. The whole world belongs to it. Should it forget its tools? Thus rattled he, a dry seat inside the piano, the director of the empty stage and curtains forever raised like folded up sails.
When rolling a narcotic cigarette on a vinyl sleeve, it's impossible not to comment on the association between the artistic quality of that sleeve and the drug experience itself. Dark Side of the Moon, Electric Reagan, etc. In Amsterdam, as you were preparing to roll, I handed you Robert Creeley's later, and you said, "Great, hardback."
No sooner had he opted for irony than he was lowered into the cellar on the backs and by the hands of stalkers and porters. For polished wood is wood for kindling, when the whole needs to be warmed up for the coming of the choir.
A record that skips is similar to being interrupted time after time on the same line of poetry.
And the piano case, like dominoes, are to be stuffed into a sack. Someone is bound to come up with rules for a new game.
A record that skips is similar.
Thank you.
Thank you.